Hey everybody, welcome back to the Scentatar Fragrance channel. Thank you so much for stopping by today. As you can see, I have a whole new setup here today. I changed my camera angle, I changed up everything. Let me know if this is what you like, if this is something that's entertaining or something that's an improvement on my channel. Let me know if you like this setup. I changed it last time and somebody said they didn't like it, so I'm trying something new out today. Anyways, y'all saw the title. Today we're talking about none other than Crystal Parfums. Upcoming niche brand. I think they might have come out pretty recently, 2017, 2016 maybe. They're pretty new, recent brand. There's not a lot of reviews on their fragrances at all. These travel atomizers were provided for me from the company a little while ago. I have reviewed each one of these on my Instagram individually, and I just did a quick live today talking about them. But here they are, 3 fragrances. The 3 offerings from Crystal Patchouli are Crystal fragrances, and they're a brand new brand. The first one we have is called Crystal Patchouli. Then we have Cannabis Plant, and then Forest Moss. So 3 fragrances. I'm going to talk about them and review them real quick, give you the breakdown, just how I like to do it, the smell, the performance, the compliment factor, and the price with these boogers. So first off, with the smell, what do you get out of each one of these fragrances? With the Crystal Patchouli, it smells quite like a crystalline, airy, fresh patchouli fragrance. It's a lot more cotton-like, it's a lot more transparent, and it's a lot more clean of a fragrance than you would ever imagine that a patchouli could ever be. Even though it's still a very clean, refined, cotton-like patchouli, it still has its own sharp edges. It still has its own unique character, its own, factors and facets to the fragrance. It has a little bit of underlying sweetness, a nondescript sweetness, more of just a clean, sugar-like smell. Anyways, Crystal Patchouli is very surprising in how airy and transparent it is, but yet sometimes there's angles and dimensions of the fragrance that really jump out to you and really grab you, almost like Kisses Rain does in a way. It has these like nuances that just surprise you. These like little sharp edges that sometimes come out of the fragrance every once in a while. That makes it much more interesting. As far as the patchouli goes, I suppose this is a pretty wearable patchouli, but it's not a particularly wearable patchouli because it still has this is a lot of character. This fragrance is still a niche fragrance. This is still a niche brand. It's going to be expensive. I'm going to let y'all know later on. These fragrances aren't uber expensive. They're not scary, but they're still niche prices. So Crystal Patchouli is a interesting booger. If you want a very wearable, clean, modern type of patchouli, you might like this one, but you might just think this stuff smells like hairspray or something to that effect. It has an interesting dynamic about it. It's like a dry, transparent, clean, cotton-like patchouli. A very interesting, very different fragrance. It might seem like it's gone at 5 hours. This is more of like a 7-hour fragrance. It does project very well, or pretty well, and it's a very distinctive smell, so people really pick up and catch on this. It didn't get me a lot of oohs and ahs. It didn't give me a lot of overtly complimented kind of notes and feel. But there's no doubt about it that is a good fragrance. And people, found it kind of interesting, but not too scary either. For a niche fragrance, of course. The next one is the most daring and maybe my least favorite out of the bunch. This one is called Cannabis Plant. This one, of course, captures the smell of cannabis. Y'all know that is a taboo note, a taboo fragrance, a scent that's often very taboo to a lot of people. So this is not a professional scent whatsoever. Maybe if you live in a very open-minded environment, maybe you work in a very laid-back workplace, maybe you could get away with this. But for most professional places and environments, this is a complete no-go. It does smell like cannabis. It's more of a dry, almost like the white smoke off of, fresh cannabis or something like that. Or like cannabis that was just soaked in maybe dirty water in a plastic, a plastic container. It has a very odd smell. It's like watery and has this texture of being dry at the same time. It does smell like cannabis. It has some underlying sweetness to it. It's not overtly sweet, but again, it does have a little bit of that almost airy, sharp, jagged, but yet somehow like crumbly almost sweetness that's in the crystal patchouli. So cannabis plant is an interesting fragrance on my skin. It becomes much more watery. It becomes a lot. It just doesn't. It's not pleasant. I don't like it on my skin, honestly. If I have to be honest, I don't like the smell of cannabis very much. And this smells like cannabis that's been thrown maybe at the bottom of a trash can with water, like rainwater, and is soaked there for a couple weeks. It's just a very odd combination of fragrance. Again, this one has little sharpness and little edges and textural things that jump out at you. This one, the cannabis plant, has a lot more of those edges. I'm not sure what kind of notes or aldehydes or things that are going on. Again, their website doesn't list a lot of notes. If you go to their website, there's not a lot of information you can find on these fragrances, sadly. They're still developing their website. Their price isn't readily available, but I think I've heard their price, and I'll mention that soon, about what their prices probably are. So overall, cannabis plant is just a odd booger. It's not my kind of fragrance. But as far as a cannabis fragrance goes, it's probably a more wearable one. You know, if you made a full-on cannabis fragrance, this one might be considered weak or tame or very modern. So it definitely smells like cannabis, but it's not. It's not. I guess a scary one. But the note in general is still quite scary. Just like some people don't go near tobacco or near oud whatsoever, I think cannabis is maybe still a taboo or a difficult note for most people. The next one I have to talk about is forest moss. Now, forest moss is my favorite out of the bunch. Of course, it's capturing the smell of oak moss, um, or just more of a forest moss. This one's the moss to it is a little bit more smooth. It's a little bit more fresh. It also has almost a cannabis like smell. I'm not sure if there was a mix or if some of the cannabis got into this. But this one does have a little bit of this interesting, almost herbal-like qualities with this one. This one is the most well-rounded out of the three. This one doesn't have those jagged edges, those facets of the fragrance that really catch you in the air. This one's a little bit more well-rounded, a little bit more smooth, and it's a little bit more sweet. It's green, of course, with the smell of forest moss. If you're an oak moss lover, if you want something modern, wearable, fresh, and, this might be for you if you really do like oak moss and want a fragrance that's focused on oak moss. I do think that this could be a good option for you. As far as very green fragrance or oak moss heavy fragrances, I still think that Anateus is probably the better option. And as far as a very heavy, green fragrance, with a lot of interesting complexity for the price and for the money, I am still a big sucker for Italian Cypress by Tom Ford. One of my favorite fragrances of Tom Ford that I haven't really talked about very much. I do think it's quite expensive for what it is, and I might have to get me the Alexandria alternative to the fragrance. But Forest Moss is a good fragrance. It's no doubt about it. If you like green fragrances, if you're more of a gentleman, this is a fragrance I think that you could make an everyday fragrance. It's very wearable. It's not overly classy, not overly fancy. It has a little bit of that modern sweetness. It doesn't smell like ambergris, but to me, it has this textural feel of ambergris with the fragrance and the feel of the texture of the fragrance. I just can't get beyond that. I don't even know if ambergris is in this fragrance, but there's this textural feel in these fragrances, especially the forest moss, that really does remind me of ambergris, and it's quite nice. It's quite well blended. Anyways, again, forest moss is my favorite. Cannabis plant is a daring booger, quite a little monster, and crystal patchouli is a very interesting, almost hairspray like patchouli fragrance. Very clean, cotton-like fresh. Anyways, this is the House of Crystal Patchouli. These are their three offerings I think that are available. As far as prices go, I think I've heard people saying that their bottles are about $180, so they're not affordable niche, and they're not exactly expensive niche. They're somewhere in between. I'll put you a link in the description if you're interested in the brand. I think that they're still developing their website and everything. You're going to have to email or message them through Instagram, I believe, to get a hold of them and get a hold of their fragrances. These come, I think, from somewhere in the Middle East. When these were shipped to me, they came from the Middle East. So this brand, is quite a ways away if you're a U.S. buyer. So I don't know what that's going to affect shipping-wise, shipping prices. Anyways, I'll see y'all next time. This has been the Scentitar Fragrance Channel. I hope that you enjoyed my content. I hope that you enjoyed my review today, introducing this brand and this house to you. My quick review, this trio of fragrances. Let me know if you want more back-to-back fragrance comparisons, fragrance battles, or trios of fragrances from a fragrance house. Sometimes I like to introduce or talk about the whole house if I can, if I have a discovery set or something like that. So, again, thank y'all so much for being here today. If you stuck through to the end of my video, you must like my content. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video to support my content and my channel. Thank you so much for your love and your support. Thank you so much for stopping by the Scentitar Fragrance Channel. So, wear what y'all love, everybody. Wear what you like, wear what you love, and rock what you got. Don't feel discouraged if your collection is smaller. Don't feel like you have to buy the next best thing. Fragrance is all about exploration and new experiences. It's not about exactly hoarding fragrances. So I'll see y'all next time. This is the Scentitar Fragrance Channel. I'll see y'all next time. Have fun, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow, and bye.